thank you, Claudia, for putting together this group. We need this group. You know, we need a lot of different groups and we all need to act together. Unity is really the way. So thank you for having me, and thanks for all these incredible people together. Again, my name is Ana Valdez. I'm the executive president of the Latino Donor Collaborative, and I'm going to use a lot of the things that the past speakers today have used to explain what we do. First of all, next, please. I don't have it. Oh, here it is. Okay, good. Next, is it me? Do I have it? Okay, yes. So we have Latino Donor Collaborative created the Latino Data Collaborative, and I'll tell you why. Because our mission, 10 years ago when we founded when the co-founders put together the Latino Donor Collaborative, there was no information about who we were. One of the most important problems was that our narrative was horrible, right? We had the horrible laws at the border. People were using racial profiling just to tell our stories and tell the horrible stories that it's just a tiny bit of our story. There's so many people only in this room which stories should be told, and they were not being told. So a bunch of Latino business leaders got together and decided to change the narrative. And how do business people change narrative? Through numbers, right? So we created numbers, and I'm so happy to hear that and to know that a lot of you here already use our numbers. Please use them more. They're for free. The more people can use them, the better. And we also decided to focus on economic data. Why? Because we know the stories that are grassroots. You in this room have done tremendous work at it, and we need it. We need that story. But we also need the story of our prosperity, our upward mobility, our wins, right? We want the story of the guy that gets the girl and the hero that comes and saves the day. Those were the stories that were not being told. How do you tell that story? We thought 10 years ago, and it has worked. Our numbers create a photograph of our family, of the united family that Claudia wants to put together and wants us to all work. That's what we tell the story of. Our data tells the story of each one of you individually working together. When Juan mentioned that all of us have a function and we should never go out here without eyes, right? Well, our function is probably the nerdy part of it, probably the brain. We are the data provider, so that each one of you in your own missions, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's a grassroots organization, whether it's a business, can prosper. We give you the Latino GDP, and we give you the participation of Latinos in media, and we give you the Latinos in tech, and we give you the access to capital numbers to tell your banker that if they give you a credit, they will actually prosper. It's a win-win situation. So that part of the economic angle, we love. And so with that, I would say that that's our uniqueness. I don't know if somebody's helped. Okay, here it is. Okay. So we used to be very focused on resource allocators. So our information in the last 10 years has been distributed a lot within the resource allocators. We sit with them one-on-one, and we tell them, you are leaving a lot of money on the table. Let me tell you how you should address each one of you, right? The census told us about some months ago that there are 15% of Latinos in poverty. That 15% should be less, and we really all hope to change it. But there's a great story about the 15%. The story is that 85% of us are middle class and upper class. That's the story that nobody tells. Every show is about that 15%, and it's very respectable. We need to take care of our immigrants that are underserved. You know, we need to take care of our single mothers. We need to take care of the people that actually suffered with coronavirus. Absolutely. But what about the other 85% stories? What about your story? What about the stories that your kids, my kids, want to hear about our people? One of the things that we constantly hear is, I finally can meet a person that I want to be like when I grow up. My parents sacrificed so much. I don't want to repeat the story because they want me to prosper. So each one of your stories should be out there told so that a lot of millions of Latinos out there know that they can be you. So that's why we used to go only to decision makers. Starting 2 years ago, we decided that there was that segment that we were not educating. And that was the Latino segment, right? We know, each one of us here, know that we're successful. Each one of us here know that our parents kill themselves for us to be here, and that we're doing the same for our children. But we don't know what the next door neighbor is doing, even though he's Latino. We hope that they're doing well, but of course we see all these movies about narcos and gang members and people lost and killed, and so we're like, well, maybe they are. I mean, who knows, right? So this is what we want to do. We want to present to you the story of your community so that you use it and you know what your value is as a community. We've never had that. We really never had that. So now it's not only the decision makers that we meet with, we actually are creating campaigns. And that's why each one of you, when you use our information, which by the way is free, you can go to our website and download every single part of it. We actually have infographics. You can use it anytime. Give us credit, because the more we build our name, the more credibility our name has. So you can use those numbers everywhere you go. Thank you. And also I'm always everywhere, so you can just grab me and I'll tell you all the numbers because I'm a nerd. So I lost my presentation, but I think I can actually tell you that so we created this year only, we created 9 reports. And all of them, some of you, actually we have some partners here. High Tech was one of our partners. LCDA was another one of our partners. So we have a bunch of partners probably here also. But my point is that the numbers are outstanding. When I tell you about creating the photo of the community, this year's Latino GDP, as you know, the GDP tells the story of productivity and success. This year's Latino GDP report was $2.7 trillion. But let me tell you, that number is so big, sometimes I'm like, whatever, I don't know what that means. Let me tell you what that means. It means that if Latinos in the United States were an economy, we would be the 7th largest economy in the world. That means we would be an economy that is larger than Canada, Brazil, Italy, Russia. And we have this productivity inside the United States, and nobody acknowledges it. We ourselves didn't know it before the numbers came out. Honestly, that's why we get these incredible partners for research, because if not, when we went with these numbers to the official, we are very lucky to be covered by the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and Bloomberg, and we just presented in front of more than 1,000 economists of the Federal Reserve nationwide. Our numbers are being used by the Joint Economic Council at the Congress. I mean, we have all these examples, but if we didn't have amazing partners, research partners, people wouldn't believe us. These numbers are so good that people wouldn't believe us. So our information is completely sourced from official numbers by professional researchers. So let me continue telling you the photograph of the GDP. So, oh my God, I had so much information. Next time, I have to tell you more, but I don't have a lot of time. But let me finish telling you the story of the GDP. Not only are we the 7th largest economy if we were a country, but we're the segment within the United States that is growing the fastest. So let me also put it in global context. If we were an economy, we would be growing in the 3rd place as fast, imagine that because percentages, this is my nerd part, because percentages have to do with where you come from. I'm going to talk about the top economies in the world. If we were we are in the top 10 economies, we would be the 3rd fastest growing. So that means that within the United States, we're driving the growth big time. The African American community is not growing. The white community, as you saw on the previous presentation, is going down. And we are the only ones growing. Asians are growing, but they come from a number that is much smaller. So the real contribution is coming from Latinos. I'm going to finish. I don't have time. Let me just tell you this. Latinos in the next 20 years will contribute with 82% of all the workforce, with 70% of all the new home buyers, and I can go on and on and on with these numbers. Use our information. Know who your community is. Memorize the photograph of who we are as a whole. Tell your kids, tell your partners, and thank you so much for being our ambassadors every day.